There's this one mistake I see every single one of my coaching clients make. And then the more they manage to fix it, the better the results they get. Addressing this one particular problem is what gets your relationship unstuck. The mistake I and almost everybody else made was I was waiting for my avoidant partner to lead. I was waiting for him to make up his mind about us, to initiate, to make plans, to bring up important topics, or to make important decisions such as commitment. It was almost as though he was my boss and I was a secretary waiting on him all the time. Hi, guys. I'm Carolina, and I used to be stuck deep in the anxious avoidant trap. My then avoidant boyfriend was unsure about everything about our relationship, kept on breaking up with me, but then we figured things out. Now we're married and we run this YouTube channel together where we talk about attachment styles and breakups. So, why do we do this? Why do us anxious people allow for such an unequal power dynamic when we're dating an avoidant? Usually, relationships start on a more equal note where the power between the two of you is more balanced and you're both equal partners and decision makers in your relationship. However, I know for a lot of you guys, and this was the case for me too, this dynamic, this looking up to the avoidant as the leader, was actually the initial appeal of this person to me. Maybe you're someone who takes on a lot of responsibility in your life. That was certainly the case for me. I'm a big sister. So I would take on the big sister role everywhere I went. I'd take it on at work, I'd take it on in any group project, in my family too. So when Gabriel and I first started dating, he was like a breath of fresh air. He wanted to lead, he wanted to take control, and I was happy to give it up. It was something new to me. This employee boss dynamic that a lot of us tend to develop with our avoidant partners. You might think this is something typical to women, but it's not. I actually coach a lot of very successful men who have control over everything in their life or manage a lot of people, yet with their partner, this dynamic flips. And suddenly they want to be in this follower role. Everybody needs an area in their life where they can be weak, where they can be vulnerable, where they can just follow and trust someone else and kind of surrender to this other person. I think that's why a lot of us do this. That's why we end up looking up to the avoidant and waiting for them to lead. So for Gabriel and me, that's how things started out. It worked out great. And that's the thing with this dynamic, that it can work incredibly well as long as the person who's leading and you have the same goals and the same expectations, when you want the same things, when you're happy with the leadership they're providing. But the problems will start piling up when your needs and expectations diverge, when they want something else than you do. And you're in this employee role, waiting on the avoidant, the leader, to do what you want them to do. And you feel powerless and you get anxious, which only reinforces this unhealthy dynamic between the two of you. But it's not all because of you. It's not all because you want to put your avoidant on a pedestal and give up power and control and let them lead. Avoidants often do want to have control. They want to be the leader. This is why anxious avoidant dynamics can work so well in the beginning, because you want to give up control, they want to have control. It's a win-win. It feels like it's a great combination, that you're an amazing match, that you just click. And here I want to talk a little bit more about why avoidants have this need for control. Much like you as the anxious person have your preference that might come from the circumstances you're in or your upbringing, the same is true for the avoidant. Avoidant attachment develops because of a person's past. So avoidants have had bad experiences in their previous relationships. Maybe they had a controlling partner, or maybe they have a controlling parent. And this is where their need for control comes from. That's why they might seek to be in this role of a leader and want to make all the decisions in your relationship. So, this mistake most anxious people make in their relationship when they're waiting for their avoidant partner to lead is two-sided. On one hand, you as the anxious person want to give up power and control, and on the other hand, your avoidant partner might seek power and control over you so that they can feel safe in your relationship. This dynamic, where they're leading and you're following, works great as long as you both want the same things, as long as you're both happy with the pace that the relationship is going or with the direction that they're taking you. That's why honeymoon phase for anxious avoidant couples is always perfect and everything seems effortless and everything just works because it does, because you both want the same things. So the employee boss relationship is fine because you, as the employee, you, as the anxious follower, are happy with where the boss, the avoidant, is taking you. But that can never last forever. Problems always start when the avoidance wants and preferences become different than what you want. And that's also when this boss employee like relationship becomes extremely problematic. As long as you're in this employee role, you're going to feel powerless, you're going to feel anxious, you're going to have the urge to chase and desperately cling and do things that may be out of your character to try to influence your avoidant partner. And they will keep on dismissing you because, much like a boss, they'll feel like they have the power and control, so you can't do anything about it. And they'll continue insisting on what they want. And they'll continue doing what suits them. I imagine most of you guys who are watching this video are already stuck in this dynamic. You're already wondering, when is my avoidant partner going to reach out? What can I do to get my avoidant to choose me, to make up his or her mind about me? How do I get them in touch with their feelings for me? This way of relating to your avoidant partner is this big mistake. You're waiting on them. You're reinforcing this dynamic. You're giving them complete decision-making power over you and your relationship. You're obsessing over them. You're reinforcing their leadership position. I did this, and that's what kept me stuck in the breakup makeup cycle for a year and a half. I kept on fluctuating between being like a love-struck puppy and doing no contact, hoping that Gabriel will magically change his mind or grow up. Our relationship started moving backwards in many ways. Things were only getting worse and worse. And I know it's the same for you guys. And that's because avoidance can't be trusted to lead. They can't be given all the power. They have flaws, they have issues, they procrastinate. They will keep your relationship stuck or they'll drive you away with their dismissive behavior. If they're leaning fearful avoidant, they will keep your relationship stuck forever. And if they're dismissive avoidant, they'll drive you away by dismissing you, ignoring you, and rejecting you. Much like democracies tend to produce better results than dictatorships. The same way, relationships work better when the power is split between two partners, when it's not one person leading and the other one following, but when it's a partnership, when you're both having a say and equal decision-making input over what will happen. So how do you fix it? How do you fix this mistake of endlessly waiting for an avoidant to lead? First off, you need to stop blaming the avoidant for being a bad leader and start blaming yourself for putting them in that position to begin with. Yes, avoidants do play power games. Yes, they can be dismissive, rejecting, and threaten to walk away to get you to accept certain things that you normally wouldn't put up with. However, you need to keep in mind, you're both consenting adults here, and your partner has no real power over you other than the power that you choose to give him or her. You're the one putting them on the pedestal. You're the one giving up control. You're also the one who needs to start setting up standards in your relationship and deciding what kind of behaviors you're going to put up with and what is unacceptable for you. I know a lot of married people keep on looking for someone to influence their partner without realizing they are the ones who have most influence over their spouse. As long as your avoidant partner actually cares about you, you do have power over them. You just need to dare to see it and also learn to wield it. But let's address the elephant in the room. So, the reason why us anxious people don't insist on things or are afraid of taking charge in a relationship is because avoidants often threaten with abandonment when you're not giving them what they want. So, let's say you want to see your partner more than once in a week, and they don't want to prioritize you quite as much, or they don't want to commit to a set amount of time spent with you. If you keep on insisting, if you keep on saying, this is a hard limit for me, your avoidant partner will inevitably pull their ultimate power move. They'll say, I can't give you what you need. This cannot work out. We're not good for each other. We want different things. When this happens, you need to be the one who insists on a certain standard in your relationship. And if your partner is willing to walk away from you over something seemingly small, you have to let them. You need to recognize that as long as you're waiting on your avoidant partner to lead all the time, they're never going to change. They'll never give you what you want because they won't have to. It is in these conflicts, it is in you insisting on a certain standard or on certain things in your relationship and then letting the avoidant walk away if they refuse to accept what you're asking for, that you can have the kind of confrontation that might result in actually something changing in your relationship. There is no way around it. You need to take charge. You need to become your own leader. Make your own decisions. But in order to be able to do this, in order to be able to step into this more empowered role, you first need to ask yourself a very vulnerable question, which is, why am I putting up with this? So, this is what I did. This was part of my journey. When Gabriel and I were stuck in this anxious, avoidant breakup makeup cycle, at some point I asked myself, why do I allow him to do this? Why do I keep on letting him break up with me and then taking him back? What is wrong with me? I did some therapy at the time. I also journaled a lot about it. And I came to conclude that I believe drama is a sign of true love. My parents' marriage was quite traumatic. So I guess that's where I learned it. And that's why the fact that Gabriel did keep on rejecting me, but then kept on coming back, was something in some ways I sought after. Realizing this was a game changer. And it was completely necessary for me to stop making this mistake of waiting for Gabriel to lead all the time. I saw I was on rails and I was just repeating something that felt somewhat familiar. And it was dissecting it and going into it that allowed me to take a step back and reevaluate whether I really wanted it or not. And after thinking about it, I concluded, yes, at some point I did think that drama was somehow proof of true love. However, I don't believe this anymore and I don't want it anymore. And because I don't want it, I need to take steps to prevent it from happening. I need to take steps to ensure that I can do something to protect myself from being hurt again. As long as I was clutching onto Gabriel like a love-struck puppy, I was on this roller coaster with him, and he could take me wherever he wanted to, wherever his and my trauma was making us go. But I had the power to get off the roller coaster. And that's what I did. After a third breakup, I decided enough is enough. And that's when I did the soul searching, and that's when I did the therapy. One of the things that helped me take the power and control back was I concluded I needed something else I could commit to distract me or to take me away from our anxious avoidant drama. I joined a charity project, and I was hoping that it will provide emotional fulfillment. It will give me something else I can dedicate my attention and my heart to, so that I manage to deprioritize our relationship, so that I'm not obsessing over Gabriel all the time. This was an active choice I made because I concluded it was necessary. And in some ways, that's what changed everything. Because suddenly I was no longer just waiting for Gabriel to lead all the time. I was my own leader. I was making my own decisions. I didn't consult with him to do any of it. I committed to going to India for 2 months without discussing it with him. He only found out after the fact. So what I did was quite extreme. Most of you do not need to resort to anything nearly as extreme as this. It's often about subtle shifts, little ways in which you make your partner feel like they're no longer the boss of you. I'll now give you guys some typical examples I help my coaching clients with, areas in which they took the power back that totally transformed their relationship. The number one easiest thing you can do to stop just waiting on your avoidant partner to lead is by making your own plans and not consulting with them. I know a lot of you guys keep on waiting. I did too. And you keep your schedule open in case your avoidant reaches out. You put off things or you deprioritize other people because you hope that maybe they'll decide last minute to do something. You plan your life around your avoidant partner. That's the mistake. That's when they're your boss and you're like the secretary who needs to wait on them. And this is one of the simplest areas where you can change this dynamic, where you can step up and start treating your avoidant partner like an equal. So make your own plans. Don't consult with them. Don't ask their permission. Don't plan around them. Just decide what you want to do and then go and do it. And that might be about a vacation. It might be about starting a new hobby or changing jobs, moving. Avoidants want you to be independent. The second big way in which anxious people keep on waiting for avoidance to lead is communication. And this is also an easy fix. This is also something I teach my coaching clients to do. That's where no contact actually can be a bit damaging, because people do no contact often as a means of just waiting for the avoidant to reach out. You should be the one with an equal say of the pace of your communication. Sometimes avoidants want to purposely keep things more and more distant, and they'll keep you waiting and you'll feel like, is this even a relationship? Or are we even still together? Or have they moved on completely? But by waiting and no contact, you're kind of still keeping their way back in and letting them hold the reins. Same thing, you're waiting for an avoidant to lead. Versus if you yourself decide, okay, we had this breakup, we had this argument, but now I feel like the dust is settled. Let me reach out and see if my avoidant partner is ready to talk or not. That's how you can take the power back. That's how you can stop relating to them as though they're your boss and start relating to them as though they're your partner. That's what you do with a friend, right? You wouldn't just endlessly wait on a friend to reach out to you. If you want to talk to someone, you just text them. And if you want to communicate something, if you feel like they did something unfair, you also just tell them. So That's the second aspect of communication where anxious people tend to give avoidance the reins. They purposely hide things and pretend like everything's okay, even when they are upset, even when they are hurting from something that the avoidant did. And again, yes, we do it because avoidants are dismissive or because they will threaten with abandonment if you express something you're hurt about. However, you staying quiet and not standing up and not speaking up for yourself is also your own choice. And it's also something you need to take responsibility for. And that's another one of these classic ways in which people can subtly shift the power dynamic by calling your avoidant out, by pointing out their toxic behaviors, or by pointing out when they do something that's unfair. Will your avoidant like it? No, of course not. Nobody likes to be told off. But just because they don't like it doesn't mean they don't need it. Just because avoidants want to have all the decision power and control in a relationship doesn't mean it's good for them. Much like I might want to have Nutella for dinner. If I actually do this, if I actually just sit with a tub of Nutella and eat it with a spoon, it will make me feel sick. The same way, if you keep on waiting for your avoidant partner to lead, it will make them sick too. It will make them more avoidant. It will make them more dismissive, or it will make them more fearful. They need your resistance. Everybody wants a partnership. They want someone they can rely on and someone they can lean on, not someone who will endlessly lean on them and wait on them. So this is what I did. I started taking charge and taking responsibility for my relationship. I started making an effort to communicate more and more and to stand my ground. I started making my own decisions. I made plans without asking Gabriel's permission, without even checking in with him, because we were broken up at the time. But then in the relationship, once we got back together, I didn't revert to the old ways. And sometimes I could see, okay, he's keeping me waiting on purpose. And then I'd purposely make other commitments so that when he does want to do something last minute, I'm not going to be available. If you want your anxious avoidant relationship to work out, you need to step up. You need to play ball. You can't just endlessly let your avoidant partner walk all over you and then bombard them with love in the hopes that they'll finally be the person you need them to be so that you can feel secure and loved. You're both part of this dynamic. You're both responsible for changing and fixing it. Stepping up and taking responsibility in your relationship is a process. We can help you fix this very mistake with our Attach and Avoidant program. Here we provide a step-by-step guide on how you can take more and more control so that you're no longer just expecting your partner to lead, but instead you're gently leading them to a place you're both wanting to be in. For all of you guys who are interested, I'll link our program in the description of this video. If you found this helpful, definitely check out my husband's video on what made him choose me. That's where you can see the avoidant side of the story and how this mistake that us anxious people keep on making is making them feel. Thank you for watching.